Part 32. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuladin Chigwa. Chapter 312. While all the players were still immersed in this shocking information, Shen Jian had already arrived at the disguise of the last Ghost King leader based on the intelligence of the fierce Ghost Gang. Inside the park, a couple cuddles together, looking at the lake from the chair. Shen Jian was behind him, watching expressionlessly. Male and female Ghost Kings, twin ghosts in one body. Different from the twin evil spirits of the nuns and ghosts of Huangquan Ward, the twin ghosts of the male and female Ghost Kings can be separated or merged into one body. From the Ghost Doctor's point of view, these are two completely different ghosts, but they have supernatural abilities that are integrated into one. And the fusion of the two will not superimpose the supernatural powers, let alone increase the level of terror. They are still two completely different individuals. This is a disease. Seeing Shen Jian approaching, the female ghost among them turned her head 180 degrees, revealing a twisted grimace that was indistinguishable from male to female, and said coldly, "Members of the law enforcement team, don't come over and disturb our romantic date." The words fell. There was an aura of terror around him. This aura is more terrifying than the average Ghost King. Shen Jian's face became even more excited. The male and female Ghost Kings are the two most powerful among the four Ghost King leaders, and because of their relationship as husband and wife, the two together can even rival more than four Ghost Kings. Take a look now. Sure enough, the horror level of the female ghost has surpassed that of the cooking ghost, and is just a bit inferior to the imitating ghost. The aura of male ghosts is 3 times thicker than that of female ghosts. There are two Ghost Kings, one on top of two, two on top of two, or three. Think of this. A weird smile appeared on Shen Jian's face. He took out the ghost knife from his body and approached step by step. At the same time, he said, "Sister Ghost, how can a big old man like him know how to love my sister? You need to find someone who looks good with you people. Look at me, am I okay?" Female ghost? Male ghost? The male ghost also turned around. He showed a rough and arrogant face, and doubts flashed in his eyes. "No. How the hell do you dare to pry my corner in front of me? Who gave you the courage? Liang Jingru? Law enforcement team, are you looking for death?" The male ghost roared angrily. "It's an insult to any man to pry someone into a corner." The female ghost also showed a sinister smile. "You? Of course, come here and let me eat you, and you can stay with me for the rest of your life." Shen Jian took his time and raised the ghost sword in his hand. In his sight, everything is given lines. And above the heads of the two Ghost Kings, 2 black lines as thick as buckets exuded the luster of the Death Star. Shen Jian grinned. "Sister Ghost, this kind of romance is outdated. And I just discovered that the relationship between you and your wife seems to be quite good. I also feel guilty in my heart when you try to pry someone else into a corner like this. Well, in order to make amends, I will give you a more romantic date method. Hear this." The expressions of the two Ghost Kings softened. Killing the Mengui Gang's law enforcement personnel in Baikan district and attacking the Mengui Gang's territory are two different things. The former will be hunted by the Mengui Gang. The latter is just normal competition. If necessary, they are unwilling to worsen their relationship with the Mengui Gang. So he subconsciously asked, "What can I do? Have you heard about General Amos yet? Have you heard about Liang Shanbo and Zhu Yingtai?" Shen Jian raised the ghost sword, one made a sword with his own body, and the other flew together. "Isn't it very artistic?" The male and female Ghost King nodded blankly. "That's right, look at my knife. Does it seem like it lacks a step to make the knife with one's body? Your husband's bones are amazing. He must be a good knife-making material. Let him become my knife spirit forever. How about staying with you?" Female ghost? She froze. WDNMD. Are you still a ghost? So vicious. God forged a sword out of his own body. This sword spirit is for you, should you take it for granted? Hear this. The male ghost couldn't bear it anymore. What kind of sword spirit? This clearly wants him to become a dead soul under this ghost weapon. As a ghost king, how could he endure this? Him. You wanna die? The male ghost stood up and roared angrily. The ferocious grimace was full of distortion. He was filled with surging yin qi and rushed towards Shenjian. A terrible supernatural threat threatens Gaia. A bloody scene formed directly around it. Ghostland. The male ghost in front of him was clearly a ghost king with a ghost domain. Shenjian was even more excited. The ghost king who owns the ghost realm, this kind of fierce ghost is too pure. It is the best-selling ghost in the 18 hells. Think of this. Shenjian slashed out with his sword. The supernatural explosion of the ghost's sword. It directly hit the male ghost's death line. The black death thread as thick as a bucket was cut off without even a trace of resistance under Shenjian's slashing attack. Thump. The male ghost who was charging forward suddenly lost his breath. There was deep astonishment in his eyes. Looked at Shenjian hard. Then, after falling to Shenjian, the huge inertia caused the male ghost to slide for several meters before stopping. Shenjian turned his attention to the female ghost and raised the ghost sword again. After you have finished forging the sword with your body, it's time to fly together. We can't live together in life, but we can live in the same hole after death. From today on, you and your wife will become my twin sword spirits. This is the ultimate romance I give you. What do you think? Shenjian raised the ghost sword again. Female ghost. I'm going to hum your uncle's romance. I'm afraid you're a bit of a waste of a husband because of your romantic attitude. Her sinisterly smiling face hardened. I was already cursing my mother inside. I originally thought that he was just a soldier from the Mengui gang's law enforcement team, but I didn't expect that the soldier only showed his head, and the part hidden underneath turned out to be a leader-level existence of the law enforcement hall. Even a real abyss-level ghost king. She wanted to cry but had no tears. Isn't it just a normal turf war? Isn't it necessary to use such force? You guys who are fierce ghost gangs can't afford it? Looking at Shenjian approaching step by step, the female ghost shouted hurriedly, "Wait a minute, I can join your Mengui gang. My husband and I each have a gang, and I can bring these members into your gang." Shenjian's eyes were strange. Are you stupid? After I deal with you, I can still destroy your gang. Female ghost. She fell silent. Because there is no way to refute it? Then. She only had time to raise her head and roar at Shenjian, "I curse you. I curse you, an evil spirit like you, who will go to the 18th level of hell after death. You will serve your sentence in turns in the 18th level of hell, and be subjected to the fire of hell day and night torture." Shenjian was startled. A smile appeared on his face. "Thank you for your blessing. I will unlock the 18 levels of hell as soon as possible, don't think about it." Female ghost. With deep confusion and doubts, the female ghost also followed suit. Do it all. Shenjian felt empty for a while. The leaders of the 4 ghost kings had all been eliminated by him, and he was once again in a situation where there were no ghosts to catch. Glancing at the game board, Shenjian frowned. Because the side mission has not been completed. He mused. The side mission is to help the Mengui gang regain their territory in Baikan district. Resolving the leaders of the 4 attacking ghost kings is equivalent to disrupting the fight for territory among these fierce ghost organizations. This process takes time. It can take as short as 1 or 2 days and as long as 3 or 5 days. The members of these evil ghost organizations will get the news that their leader has been captured, and then the fight for territory will naturally stop. He just needs to take advantage of this time to expand the pace of arrests, and Baikan district will soon be stabilized again. That's when the side mission is completed. Think about it. Shen Jian ignored those cats and dogs. Instead, he chose to go to a horror tattoo parlor. The supernatural effect of the wishing ghost tattoo was so great that he also coveted this tattoo parlor. If the tattoo artist could be packed away, what kind of tattoo would he want? With this thought, Shen Jian arrived at his destination soon. The sign at the entrance of the store reads Horror Tattoo Parlor in 5 big characters. Old, like the style of the 1980s. The store is composed of black and white. It was as if everything in the store had faded. And at the entrance of the store, a female ghost wearing sportswear was staring straight in the direction of the tattoo parlor. Step into the store. Shen Jian's arrival attracted the attention of all players. There was awe, complexity, disbelief, and fear in these eyes. The expressions are different. Show all aspects of life. To this, Shen Jian didn't care. He looked around at his surroundings. The decoration of the store is very weird, with tattoo drawings everywhere. They all look like various evil spirits. It seems that the tattoo parlors here only produce this kind of evil ghost tattoos. In the store, an old man who looked to be in his 70s was cleaning a player's tattoo. Shen Jian frowned. This old man is not a devil. It's a ghost slave. Ghost slaves have no self-awareness. Not to mention it will not perform the difficult operation of cleaning ghost tattoos for players. Behind this tattoo parlor, there is a source ghost watching all this. The so-called cleaning is to transfer the ghost tattoo to the drawing paper. Shen Jian's eyes changed, a little moved. He took a few glances. There are about 30 scattered tattoo drawings here. If each pair represented a ghost, that would be more than 30 achievements. Boss, you're here. At this time, Uncle Chen also came over. Regarding Shen Jian's strength, he was the fastest among this group of players to accept it. After all, this group of players only knew that Shen Jian had destroyed the ghost house, but they didn't know the horrifying scene of a ghost king like River God recognizing his father in public. Compared to imprisoning a ghost king, he felt it was more difficult to let the ghost king call him daddy. Do you know who the boss here is? Shen Jian asked. That old man is a ghost slave, and it's useless to catch him. I don't know. Ever since I came here to have my tattoos cleaned, I have been paying attention to how the ghost tattoos here flowed into the horror world. But in the past 6 months, I haven't seen anything except customers come in or out. Uncle Chen shook his head. So? Shen Jian nodded and glanced at the players around him, all of whom were waiting for their tattoos to be cleaned. Based on this time, he might have to wait a day or two for his turn. Think about it. He turned and left. Prepare to come back when he is the only one left. Boss, do you want to go out? Has a problem? Of course, you have to make a purchase before you can go out of this scary tattoo parlor. Perhaps you have made a purchase before you are allowed to go out. Otherwise, the murderous pattern of the tattooed female ghost outside the door will be triggered. Shen Jian was slightly startled. That tattooed female ghost in front of the store? He did see a female ghost, but... have a tattoo? Shen Jian thought about it for a moment. His eyes looked weird. Tattoos indeed. However, the location of the tattoo is a bit special. In the place of conscience. Only one black petal is exposed. Think of this. Shen Jian suddenly thought of the greater use of tattoos. He can carve a white tattoo for others, no, a more private tattoo. Think about it this way. He became even more interested in conquering this tattoo parlor. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 313. Shen Jian's eyes were strange. He really didn't expect that this tattooed female ghost would inspire him so much. According to the information he knows, the leader of the Mengui gang will be back in a few days. Once the ghost's sister-in-law is allowed to contact the gang leader again, most of his efforts will be in vain. He didn't think that the ghost's sister-in-law's 60-point favor with him could outweigh her favor with her boyfriend. Once the gang leader returns, his sister-in-law, who has found spiritual sustenance again, will not let him continue to act recklessly. But now, he had a way of stopping the two of them from getting too affectionate. Think of this. The smile on Shen Jian's face grew wider. Under the gaze of everyone, opened the door and walked out. A glance. A female ghost stared straight at him. This is the staff of the horror tattoo parlor. The daily task is to be responsible for the exhibition. Exhibit the beauty of tattoos. Shen Jian had to admit that the ghost behind this terrifying tattoo parlor knew how to market. The tattoo of a female ghost was placed on the heart. Wearing a tube-top skirt again. Half of the white skin is exposed. The exquisite black petal tattoo exposes a branch and leaf. And most of the rest is hidden in clothes that make people endlessly reverie. It's unforgettable. Just by thinking, they can imagine the enticing scene that follows. The boss here is a genius. Shen Jian sighed. The footsteps completely stepped out of the doorway. This also triggered the killing pattern of tattooed female ghosts. The female ghost raised her head and looked at Shen Jian coldly. Why don't you get a tattoo? Sen Ran's words seemed to be played back infinitely, becoming a continuous ghost sound that echoed in Shen Jian's ears. Have you forgotten the agreement between us? Ghost sounds echoed, and an unknown supernatural power suddenly took effect. In front of Shen Jian's eyes, everything about the past with the tattooed female ghost seemed to appear from his perspective. They had agreed to get tattoos together. She got a black dahlia tattoo, and he got a tattoo of the woman's name. If you don't abide by the agreement, you have to take out your heart to atone for your sins. Shen Jian's face was expressionless. The strangeness of the supernatural is clearly revealed at this moment. He clearly knew that what appeared in his mind were all false impressions, the effects of supernatural beings, and he also knew that these had never happened, but under the influence of ghostly sounds and supernatural powers, he still couldn't help but believe it. If it were an ordinary person, I am afraid that at this moment, I would not be able to bear the promise of abiding by the agreement and take out my heart to atone for my sins. In a trance, a pale, twisted woman's face had unknowingly moved up to meet Shen Jian's eyes. With a strange smile and coldness on her face, she said in a sinister tone, "You regretted it. According to the agreement, you have to take out your heart to atone for your sins." Said. The tattooed female ghost had raised her pale hand and slowly placed it on Shen Jian's chest. Inside the store, the ghostly voice of the tattooed female ghost spread. All the players suddenly felt a surge of infinite guilt in their hearts. They felt that they were really scum and had violated their agreement with the other party. In a daze, they seemed to have raised their hands, wanting to dig out their hearts to atone for the other party's sins. Crunch. Accompanied by the sound of a door closing. The transparent glass door was quickly closed. The person who closed the door was the scholar. All of a sudden, the players who had previously raised their hands and placed their palms on their hearts suddenly woke up one by one, their souls escaping. Subconsciously he let go of his hand. His face turned pale. Danger. Too dangerous. They just almost ripped out the heart. There was no defense at all. I can't even detect anything wrong. As if they are the protagonists. Is this how scary a top-notch red-clothed level ghost is? Supernatural and silent. Just 2 sentences, more than 40 of their players were tricked. Fear remains in the eyes of all players. If the top red-clad ghosts are so terrifying, how desperate should the legendary Ghost King be? And what level of supernatural terror could Shen Jian, who could kill a Ghost King and imprison a Ghost King, reach? They couldn't imagine it at all. At this time, they are inside the door. And Shen Jian was outside the door. Those are people from two worlds. At the same time, Shen Jian, who was standing outside, seemed to be affected as well. He raised his hand. Laugh. Hands across the body. A bright red heart was raised between the two of them. Tattooed female ghost? She froze. The man in front of her was able to withstand her first wave of supernatural attacks, which proved that his terror level was at least above the top red-clothed level. How could a ghost like this at the same level be easily attacked? She didn't even see clearly. The man took out his own heart. It made her feel a bit inconsistent. After all, the other party took out his heart too quickly. But the other party has taken out his heart, so nothing matters anymore. Immediately, the tattooed female ghost showed a smile. Even if you have kept our promise, said. The tattooed female ghost is going to reach out to pick up the heart. Just as he reached halfway, his hand suddenly froze. She seemed to finally react. He slowly lowered his head and looked at his chest. There was nothing there. Tattooed female ghost. Damn it! Where is my heart? Suddenly, she raised her hand and looked at the heart in Shen Jian's hand. The back molars are almost broken. I want you to take out your own heart. Why the hell are you taking out mine? You are a dog. The tattooed female ghost looked at Shen Jian with great hatred. Shen Jian seemed to not be able to see it, and handed the heart over very actively. What's wrong? I took out my heart to atone for my sins, can't you still forgive me? Tattooed female ghost. But what you took out on horseback was mine. With your understanding, why haven't you been frozen to death in 10 years? She gritted her teeth and backed away. Because Shen Jian was too proactive. He almost put his heart on her face. And I don't know when, this man's expression became very strange. With a bit of a weird smile. Coupled with the ability of this hand to take out her heart, she was angry and frightened at the same time. By the way, if my heart is not enough, I can also take out my liver, kidneys, and lungs to atone for your sins. I wonder if you can forgive me in this way. Shen Jian spoke again. Become more proactive. Tattooed female ghost. She opened her mouth but stopped talking. What you paid for is still mine. You pay for it, and I'll forgive you. She gritted her teeth. Hear this. Shen Jian was unhappy. Why should we separate things so clearly? These things are the common property of our husband and wife. Whose should we use? Why should we separate them so clearly? Tattooed female ghost. God's property is jointly owned by husband and wife. You just don't want to pay for your own. She looked shocked and angry. She understood that Shen Jian had been playing tricks on her before. Her supernatural power was completely useless to this man. No hesitation. She turned and ran away. What greeted her was a sap behind her. Dog, dog man. In the end, she only had time to say these words before she completely stopped. Putting the body into the soul-binding bag, Shen Jian left without staying for long. Only the stunned players were left. Time flies. 3 days later. Side mission, help the Mengui gang regain their territory in Baikan district, completed. Reward, the position of deputy leader of the Mengui gang, not received. Note, because the players perfectly maintained the stability of Baikan district, the Mengui gang lost no more than 10%, and you received additional rewards. Reward, prestige add 30%, ghost sister-in-law's favorability add 10. Seeing this extra reward, Shen Jian's eyes lit up. If the ghost sister-in-law's favorability is add 10, it will reach the ambiguous stage of 60 points. At this stage, they already belong to the category of normal lovers. A smile appeared on Shen Jian's eyebrows. It was not in vain that he had worked tirelessly to catch ghosts for the past 3 days and filled 3 big bags. Sure enough, hard work pays off. His relationship with his sister-in-law finally made substantial progress. In this case, the resistance encountered next will be much smaller. Thinking. Shen Jian has returned to the horror tattoo parlor. There are no customers in the store at this time. There was only an old man in his 70s sitting on a chair, his eyes closed tightly, his movements seemed a little stiff, and his old face showed a bit of deathly silence. Saw Shen Jian walking in. The old man opened his empty eyes. The difference from before was that this time he seemed to be a little more conscious. He opened his mouth that had not spoken for decades and made a dry voice, "Guest, are you ready to have your tattoo removed?" Shen Jian glanced at it. His eyes focused on one of the old man's pale ghost hands, and a look of thought appeared on his face. "No, I'll get the tattoo." "What kind of tattoo does the customer need?" The old man opened a tattoo album and handed it to Shen Jian. Shen Jian turned his back and said, "These tattoos are not domineering enough. I need some tattoos that better reflect my identity." "Elder?" He glanced down at the tattoo album. "Every evil spirit above is ferocious and ferocious. With a tattoo on your body, no matter how pretty your face is, it will look menacing. If you carry a watermelon knife, children will be frightened and cry while walking on the road. It will become the childhood shadow of countless children. Isn't this domineering enough? I wonder what the guest's domineering attitude means." Shen Jian threw out a drawing and said, "Take this pattern." The old man opened the drawing. What catches the eye are 9 real dragons. 9 pairs of scarlet blood eyes are lifelike. And on the head of the real dragon, Neza is sitting with the dragon tendon in his hand. Behind the 9 real dragons is a black coffin, inside which lies the Tathagata Buddha. On the coffin lid, Tang San was buried. And behind Tang San's burial, the shadow of the 10 palaces of Yama emerged. You see, Neza drove the 9 dragons to pull the coffin, dragging the body of Tathagata Buddha behind him, and then Tang San buried the coffin, and the 10 palaces of Yama accompanied him. That's all for the time being. It's simple enough. Get it tattooed for me. It's not bad money." Shen Jian spoke with a smile. "Elder? Damn it! What the hell are you tattooing? Do you really live in a town? If I get a tattoo, I won't be the first to panic." The expression on the old man's face froze. Mechanical reply, "Guest, this is too complicated for a small shop to complete. Opening the door for business, are you going to reject me as a good customer?" Shen Jian frowned. "Old man, you have to think clearly. I am the person in charge of the city in this area. If you don't help me get these tattoos today, I guarantee that one day your store will be splashed with excrement by righteous people. You have to think clearly," said. Unknowingly, a gust of wind blew and closed the door. "Elder." He had a stomachache. Grandma drops. This is the first time I've seen someone come to threaten a tattoo artist. But he really couldn't get this tattoo. The old man began to tremble all over. Where Shen Jian wasn't paying attention, a pale ghost hand with half an arm detached itself. When he was about to escape, a big hand of a cattail leaf fan accurately stepped on the ghost hand. The scarlet panel emerged. Epic hidden mission has been activated. Discover the Ghost and God puzzle. Current part, Ghost's right arm. Note, it is currently in a wild state and has not been conquered. Task progress, 0/6. Collected, Ghost and God have severed fingers on their left arm. Shen Jian paused. A slight surprise flashed in his eyes. He saw that this ghost hand was not simple, but he did not expect that it was the right arm of the Mondo ghost that invaded Qingxi. This was beyond his expectation. "Haha, do you want to die or live?" Shen Jian exerted slight force. With a click, a piece of the bone in his right arm suddenly shattered. Ghost hand? I am super. What the hell kind of monster are you? Crushed the ghost's arm with your bare hands. Hey, wait, it hurts. Gishao began to struggle violently. Not a moment. He just squatted on the ground and knelt down with 2 fingers. Show surrender. Shen Jian let go. Gishao fell directly to the ground. Current mission progress, 1/6. Note, players who collect 1/6 of the Ghost and God puzzle pieces have unlocked special rewards. Special reward, Ghost's right arm, mutilated. Portable. Transplantation site, right arm. Look at the information above. Shen Jian looked away with disgust. I thought it was some incredible reward. Unexpectedly, he was asked to transplant the ghost's right arm. Rubbish. Tasteless. Shen Jian grabbed the ghost hand and carefully felt the supernatural ability of the ghost hand. Then a smile finally appeared on his face. The supernatural power of ghost hands is indeed to draw ghost tattoos. However, not every tattoo has supernatural effects. It must be a complete ghost painting to have the effect. Moreover, these ghost tattoos must be real evil ghosts. The conditions for drawing a ghost tattoo are not simple. But if you just paint some simple patterns, it's very simple. Think about it. Shen Jian made the ghost hand shrink to the size of a toy pendant and tied it to the hemp rope of the ghost rope. Ghost eyes, hey, there's a new guy here. Wishing ghost tattoo, shivering. Yingui, I have no melons to rain. Ghost rope, from today on, please call me the rope sister who has hung up ghosts and gods. Ghost hand. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 314. After solving the horrible tattoo parlor, Shen Jian was ready to return to Nanjing district where the Mengui gang was located. On the road, he has been thinking about one thing. The ghost city is a special copy that has more, denser, and more terrifying ghosts than the horror world. The red coat class is not as good as a dog. Ghost kings are everywhere. There is even a top ghost king level ghost who is about to be promoted to a ghost. But what Shen Jian was thinking about was, after leaving the ghost city, where would he find so many evil ghosts to fill the 18th level of hell? The unlocking condition for the 15th level of hell is 50 ghost kings. And so on. There is a high probability that the 16th level of hell is a ghost. The 17th level of hell is occupied by 10 ghosts and gods. The 18th level of hell is filled with 50 ghosts and gods. However, in a horror world, there are no ghosts or gods. At least for now, he has not heard of any surviving ghost-level ghosts in the horror world. Either it falls into a deep ghost realm and cannot descend, or it is completely dead. Shen Jian opened the game panel. Look down. Special status, attention from glorious ghosts and gods. Special status, Ghost Taoists hatred. Special status, Fairy the hatred of ghosts and gods. Special status, the curiosity of world-weary ghosts and gods. Shen Jian's eyes were deep. The glorious ghosts and spirits were caused by the evil ghosts of the nuns seduced by the copy of the underworld ward. Ferrying ghosts and gods is the hatred caused by killing the paper-making ghost king in the bloody paper-making shop instance. The world-weary ghosts and gods are the attention caused by the collapse of a movie in a supernatural movie theater that is a replica of the real world. Besides, Shen Jian raised his hand. A small piece of pale ghost hand, the size of a bone tooth, was revealed, which was bound by a ghost rope. This is part of the jigsaw puzzle of the Manchuo ghosts and gods who first came to Qingxi in consciousness. So far, he has known the names of 4 ghosts and gods and related them. But the only one he came into contact with was a Mondo ghost. According to the information he knew, Manchuo ghost and god dismembered himself and sent himself out from the deep ghost realm. He fell into a complete state of death. If no one wakes him up, there is basically no possibility of supernatural recovery. And collecting the 6 puzzle pieces of this ghost and god is to revive the opponent step by step. This may be his key to unlocking the 16th level of hell. Thinking, Shen Jian returned to the Mengui gang. The next day, Mengui gang clinic. Shen Jian was lying on his back, a little bored. Because he flirted with the ghost sister-in-law, he couldn't go there again in a short period of time. Otherwise, if he pushed too far, it would probably lead to some negative effects, which would be unsightly. As for the diagnosis and treatment room, no evil ghost came to trouble him again. On the one hand, what he had done to the captain of the battle hall had already reached the ears of other members and had a deterrent effect. Naturally, these evil spirits would not come to trouble him again. Of course, the other factor is the focus. That's what he did in Baikan district, and it has been reported back to the Mengui gang. He solved the leaders of the 4 fierce ghost organizations and expelled the 4 ghost kings from their territory in Baikan district. It took another 3 days to stabilize the situation in Baikan district and wipe out all the organizations that wanted to attack the territory of the fierce ghost gang. Fame spread. Faintly, he has become the 2nd master after the leader of the Mengui gang. It is an abyss-level ghost hidden by the fierce ghost gang. Naturally, we can no longer dare to provoke him. Think of this. Shen Jian's balls ached. Which bastard was slandering him behind his back? Better not to let him catch it. Dong dong dong. At this time, there was a knock on the door. A mature and gentle voice suddenly sounded. Doctor, I'm here to see you. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 315. Open the door to the consulting room. What came into view was a tall woman with a dignified temperament in her demeanor. Even though she looked to be in her 30s or 40s, she still had delicate cheeks that were not inferior to those of a ghost sister-in-law. Wearing loose home clothes, instead of making people think that she is an ordinary female ghost, people will think that she is a dignified and beautiful woman who comes to experience the people's feelings and lives in the palace compound. This kind of dignified temperament cannot be cultivated by ordinary people. Especially the cinnabar mole between the eyebrows adds a bit of charm. Shen Jian was startled. And the dignified woman in front of him was the female ghost he had seen outside the ghost sister-in-law's house. She is the old mother of the leader of the Mengui gang. Shen Jian frowned. His eyes moved. Ghost Aunt Yelan. Current level, red level. Introduction: a woman who is ahead of the times, in order to raise her son, lived a homeless life in a ghost town when she was young. She cherishes her current happiness in her heart and hopes that her son will get married soon, so that she can have a fat grandson and live in advance during her days as a grandma. She was biased against all unstable factors that hindered her stable life. Current status: vigilance, suspicion, observation, hostility. Favorability, -20, wary. Look at the information analyzed by the nether eye. Shen Jian was thoughtful. It seems that the old mother of the leader of the Mengui gang has already suspected his entry and exit into the ghost sister-in-law's house. Now he is probably an unstable factor in the eyes of the other party. Are you here to test him? Shen Jian remained calm. He shouted, Auntie, are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere? Ghost Aunt Yelan looked Shen Jian up and down, and the more she looked at him, the more she felt a sense of crisis. Even when she saw this man's appearance, she found him attractive and handsome, let alone her daughter-in-law. It's easy for a young person to resist temptation. But there must be a sense of proportion. Letting a strange man into the house is an exciting thing. Although there was a premise that a fever required treatment, as someone who had experienced it, She saw a little panic in her daughter-in-law's eyes. When chatting with her, he lowered his head the whole time. This is a sign of guilty conscience. She had to test it out. Then. Is such that. Ghost Aunt Yelan showed some discomfort on her face. She covered her forehead and looked weak and said, I have been at home for a long time recently. I don't know why. Suddenly, I feel sore all over my body, my limbs are weak, and I can't sleep most of the night. I don't know what's going on, and I happen to hear that the Mengui gang has a new attending doctor, so I wanted to ask the doctor for you to come and take a look at it for my aunt. Aunt Ghost said while secretly paying attention to Shen Jian's expression. She had already learned about it before she came. This man was one of her son's most trusted younger brothers, and even taking care of his daughter-in-law was left to him. She wanted to know whether this man was trustworthy. Will he have any bad thoughts about his sister-in-law? Aunt, please come in. Shen Jian got out of the way. The ghost aunt came in. Then. He stretched hard and made a strange pleasant sound from his mouth. Shen Jian. What is this ghost aunt thinking? Are you shaking like this in front of a young guy like him, for fear that he will be able to control yourself? A more impulsive person might have pounced on him by now. Only Shen Jian had seen a lot, and although he was a little disturbed by this, he remained calm on the surface. A look of indifference. It was as if everything in front of him was a red and pink skull and was not of interest to him. Ghost aunt? Such a budden nature? Don't lift it? She was a little angry. On the one hand, she was very satisfied with Shen Jian's performance. But on the other hand, from a woman's perspective, she was hurt. The other side. Shen Jian ignored Aunt Gui's temptation and said straight to the point, Aunt, where do you feel uncomfortable? You can tell me specifically. The ghost aunt did not believe in evil spirits and continued to observe secretly. She said feebly, my head is dizzy, my waist is sore, my muscles are sore, everything hurts, and I don't know why, but I always feel like I can't exert my strength. Shen Jian looked as usual. Even a proficient level of disease insight could not detect the aunt's symptoms at a glance. He suspected that the other party was faking it and just wanted to test him. In this case, he can just do it casually. Shen Jian followed a normal medical conversation and said casually, are you overtired? Ghost Aunt Yelan pulled the collar of her casual home clothes, making a hint of fair skin faintly visible, and continued weakly. I'm not sure. The quality of sleep is obviously pretty good, but I just don't have enough energy. Let me check your pulse. Shen Jian said. Aunt Ghost immediately rolled up her sleeves and stretched out her hand. He nodded secretly in his heart. Judging from her several successive trials, Shen Jian's performance satisfied her very much. There is no trace of male and female affection in his eyes. It is a normal doctor-patient relationship. This person has an upright demeanor, and doesn't look like a ghost who would do anything like trying to steal a corner. Otherwise, the look he looked at her would not be without any lust. This is indeed a qualified young man. Can be trusted. As for the daughter-in-law's abnormality, it is likely to be caused by other reasons. In this case, she would not delay this man's treatment and saving lives. As for the results of her diagnosis and treatment, there was certainly nothing to show for it. At that time, all I need to do is ask the other party to prescribe some tonics to promote blood circulation and remove blood stasis, and massage and physical therapy. Ghost Aunt thought so. But on Shen Jian's side. But a discovery was made. He let go of his hand and looked at Ghost Aunt Yelan with a very solemn expression. Aunt Ghost was stunned and asked in confusion, what's wrong? Shen Jian's expression was a bit intriguing, Auntie, you are very ill. Ghost Aunt? Why don't I test you? As for scolding people directly? Are you still calling me sick? She frowned slightly and said displeasedly, Doctor, what do you mean? Shen Jian stood up. He grabbed her jade arm and lifted it slightly. Auntie, have you ever felt that the joints of your limbs are stiff, and sometimes you can suddenly lose strength for a moment? Ghost Aunt Yelan. Her expression changed instantly. Some of the various symptoms mentioned just now were made up by her, but since her limbs couldn't use the strength, she also told her own situation, but it was not that serious. It is possible to lose strength in just a moment. The entire process lasts less than a second. She didn't take it seriously. However, Shen Jian's words gave her an ominous premonition. Doctor, what do you mean? A little panic showed on Aunt Ghost's face. Doll syndrome, caused by ghost poison. Shen Jian narrowed his eyes and said deeply. To put it simply, you have been poisoned, and the poison has entered your bone marrow, which has begun to affect the flexibility of your body. When the poison is fully revived, your limbs will turn into stiff doll props. This is puppet syndrome. Finished. Shen Jian had an inexplicable look on his face. There is actually a traitor in this fierce ghost gang. This poison cannot be completed overnight, it must take effect over many years. This is why Anti-Ghost and the leader of the Mengui gang did not notice any abnormalities. If it weren't for his amazing perception, he probably wouldn't have been able to detect it. It is a poison that is extremely concealed but not difficult to eradicate. Think of this. An imperceptible smile appeared on Shen Jian's face. He thought of a way to silence this ghost ant. What he is most worried about now is that before he can capture the ghost sister-in-law, the mother who cares about her son will suddenly reveal her. Even if there is no evidence, as long as the leader of the Mengui gang notices the clues, his strategy will be even if the plan fails. The only way is to shut up this ghost ant. Am I poisoned? Hear this. Aunt Ghost was also panicked, but she still kept an eye on her and asked, I have no signs of poisoning at all. Just a moment of weakness cannot prove it? Shen Jian's smile grew wider. I have a way to prove it, said. Shen Jian walked over step by step. Stick this ghost ant on the wall. A hand rested on her thigh. Then raise it a little bit. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 316. Looking at the scene that happened in front of her, the ghost ant seemed a little confused. The mind goes blank. She sorted out her thoughts a little. Because I heard that my daughter-in-law was sick, I planned to come over and take care of her while my son was away. However, I accidentally encountered a strange man walking out of my daughter-in-law's house. He was even more handsome than his son. This gave her a bad feeling. So I wanted to come over and test this doctor. And she was satisfied with the results. The other party is an upright doctor. The eyes he looked at her the whole time were without any trace of lust, and he was a trustworthy subordinate. Logically speaking. That's all. But the doctor found out that she was poisoned by poison. It is said that she has puppet syndrome. When the ghost poison revives, she will become a puppet. What a joke. No matter how much she said, she was still a powerful ghost close to the level of a ghost king. How could she not even know whether she had been poisoned? However, he didn't wait for her reaction. Shen Jian came closer. He put his hand on her thigh. Then slowly lifted up. Ghost ant. She was stunned. Then got furious. This man was taking advantage of her. Ghost Aunt Yelan looked at Shen Jian with hateful eyes, already thinking about how to let this man die. Although she has not been involved in the complex situation in the ghost town for many years. But as an orphan and a widowed mother, she was able to survive safely with her son until now. How could she be a kind person or a coward? She is not as cowardly as ordinary women who dare not resist after being defiled. For those who dare to tease her, she usually makes them never wake up again. Shen Jian is no exception. However, at this moment, Shen Jian spoke, Auntie, pay attention, the evidence you want is coming soon. Hear this. Ghost Aunt Ian's eyes flashed with suspicion. Isn't this man teasing her? But are you really looking for evidence to show her? But, what kind of evidence is needed to do this? She glanced away. At this time, Shen Jian had already removed one of her legs. Ghost Aunt? Then what? Do you want to remove my limbs to determine whether I have been poisoned? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows and said, Auntie, haven't you noticed that you don't feel any pain at all? In addition to the sense of shame, do you feel any severe pain caused by being dismembered? Ghost Aunt. Hear this. Her eyes suddenly widened. Look down. At this time, one of her legs was dismembered, but strangely, she felt no pain at all. It was as if these were not her legs at all. Next moment, Shen Jian installed it again. Talking eloquently, doll syndrome is a common paranormal poison. It is characterized by subtle fluctuations in the supernatural power that cannot be detected at all. This disease will always lurk in your body, eroding your body bit by bit, making your body, unconsciously, supernatural changes occur. And the most intuitive change is the transformation of Li Gui's body. Shen Jian said deeply. To put it simply, your body is transforming into wood fibers. Once this supernatural transformation is completed, your body will turn into a puppet toy and completely freeze. Auntie, the reason why you are losing strength is that the joints of your limbs have begun to undergo lignofibrosis, and the influence of the poisonous poison on you has penetrated deep into your bone marrow. The same goes for your thighs. Your joints have begun to become humanized. Even if you make movements that exceed your body's limits, you won't feel any hindrance at all. Buzz. Hear this. Ghost Aunt Ian's whole body was shocked. She could almost imagine the horrifying scene of herself turning into a doll bit by bit. How could it become like this? She murmured and moved her lips, but no words came out. It was obviously just a whim of pretending to be sick to test this man, but he was actually diagnosed with a disease, and it was an extremely vicious poisonous disease. How so? She wanted to cry but had no tears. But I have a way. At this time, Shen Jian glanced at her and felt that the atmosphere was almost over, so he comforted her. Although this poisonous poison is difficult to cure, it is not a fatal poison. Aunt Gui was shocked, and immediately grabbed Shen Jian's hand and said happily, My child, do you really have a way to cure Auntie? Nature. Shen Jian chuckled. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 317. A long time. Congratulations, Auntie, your symptoms have been significantly relieved. A smile appeared on Shen Jian's face. Oh, by the way, Auntie, you'd better keep today's matter a secret, Shen Jian said with a serious expression. The formation of puppet syndrome is not something that can be done overnight, but is accumulated over many years. There must be a traitor around you. It's not quiet near your residence. The reason why this traitor attacked you is probably because you are far away from the surveillance range of the Mengui gang, making it easy for them to attack. Hear this. The face of this dignified and beautiful woman suddenly darkened. Yin energy surges around the body. The whole face was even more distorted. It vaguely looks like an evil ghost. She is not a kind person. Decades ago, she was also called an evil ghost. It's not because she kills so much, it's not because she has great strength, it's not because she has extremely weird supernatural powers, it's because she's not afraid of death. She only abides by one principle when dealing with those who target their orphans and widowed mothers, which is to put them into eternal sleep, even if they try hard, they will be dismembered and die. After more than 10 years of stability, although she can no longer see the slightest bit of the evil spirit she once was, the ferocity is still there. Now, she cannot forgive anyone who dares to hit her, whether he wants her to threaten her son or simply wants to kill her. I understand. I won't tell anyone about this matter. As for the traitor, I will also find out. Finished. The ghost ant turned and left. The other side. Looking at the graceful back of Ant Ghost as she left, Shen Jian was thoughtful. Traitor. Thinking. A message was pinned to the top of the chat interface. Scholar at all members, there will be a grand supernatural meeting at the supernatural auction house today. According to the internal information of the player auctioneer, the auction will have many supernatural props that are beneficial to human beings, and even ones that increase strength. Strange things. If you are interested, you can come and take a look. Daomu, thank you for the invitation. I am at the supernatural auction house, raising money. I have to say that the quality of the weird things here is really high. I saw an ingredient on the auction list. Who can come with me and we can share it together? The chat interface is hotly debated. Shen Jian clicked on the auction list sent by the player. Browsed. At this time, the 6 scarlet ghost eyes on the back of the hand revived, and as they turned, an impatient voice came out. Master, look at the last 3 pages. There is a piece of meat with 3-star ghost eyes. If I eat it, I will definitely be able to return to 7 ghost eyes. Shen Jian turned over it. On the third to last page, I saw information about Samsung's video game. A bit of surprise flashed in his eyes. A nutritious ghost meal of this level would actually be put up for auction? He still remembered that when he was in the Ice and Snow Castle dungeon, he once ate medicinal wine soaked in 3-star meat. Ghost meat. One gulp of it boosted 2000 yin chi. If one could eat a whole 3-star flesh ghost, the level of yin energy would definitely surpass that of a Ghost King level ghost. Why would sister-in-law take out such a rare treasure instead of digesting it internally? Shen Jian was thoughtful. Think about it. Went to the supernatural auction house. A heaven-defying ingredient that can create a Ghost King will definitely cause shock in the Ghost City. By then, I am afraid there will be countless Ghost Kings coming. The thought of this. There was a bit of excitement on Shen Jian's face. The pace is a little faster. Supernatural auction house. Shen Jian came here. Look away. Rows of welcoming female ghosts wearing uniform red cheongsam and smiling faces stood at the door. All of these female ghosts were half-red level ghosts. In the Samsung copy, it can be regarded as a moderately elite boss. Put in a 2-star copy, it is the ultimate boss level existence. Instead, it was placed in a ghost town and could only serve as a welcome guest. A group of players came here. Just seeing the rows of female ghosts welcoming guests at the door will make you feel fear from the bottom of your heart. In my heart, I wanted to escape from this place more and more. This is not a dungeon that normal players can enter at all. It is a place of death. Entering it, there will be no life or death. They tightened their black robes, lowered their heads, and walked quickly inside. Shen Jian showed some interest. The guests who come here to participate in the auction seem to like to hide themselves. Not only the players do this, but some ghosts also choose this method. He understood. The supernatural auction house is only responsible for auctions. We are not responsible for anything else. As long as the product comes out of here, it has nothing to do with the organizer. Think about it. Shen Jian walked straight into it. The welcoming female ghost at the door smiled even brighter. Welcome, sir. The neat sound attracted the attention of many ghosts. It also made them set their sights on Shen Jian. He seems to be thinking about which Ghost King level ghost this is, which can attract such a warm welcome from the supernatural auction house. Shen Jian ignored it. After asking about MRS Ghost Studio, she walked over. Crunch. The door opens. The ghost's sister-in-law sounded displeased and even eerie. Who asked you to come in without my consent? Go down and dismember one of your arms. Don't let me do it myself, otherwise it won't be as simple as just an arm. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. In his eyes, the image of the ghost's sister-in-law is no different from that of a little girl who longs for love and care. But that's only in his opinion. Outside, his sister-in-law is known for her majesty, inhumanity, and indifference. Otherwise, how could she become the second in command of the fierce ghost gang with the terrifying red coat level? Among them, the identity of the sister-in-law is a bonus. But the most important thing is that she has a strong wrist. This principle applies whether it is in the fierce ghost gang or the supernatural auction house. There was no reaction from the visitor. The ghost's sister-in-law, who was handling her work, immediately raised her head and showed a serious face. It seems that I am the one who has been treating you during this period of time. It's you, my stinky brother. The penetrating voice suddenly stopped. Instead there was panic. Ghost's sister-in-law Lu Rong's cheeks turned red and she hesitated. What are you doing here? I don't want to see you yet, so go away. When she saw it was Shen Jian, her attitude changed 180 degrees. My heart was beating wildly. Conflict, confusion, panic, and shame flashed through his eyes. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Walked over. This made sister-in-law Ghost subconsciously take precautions and said, what do you want to do again? You have already overstepped your bounds. Aren't you afraid that your elder brother will find out? Sister-in-law, will you tell me? Shen Jian asked casually. You are too presumptuous. You have seen it before, right? My mother-in-law has begun to have some doubts. Once any problem is discovered, you will definitely die without a burial place. Lu Rong, the ghost's sister-in-law, scolded. Shen Jian did not comment, but changed the subject and said, Sister-in-law, you asked me to help solve the problem in Baikan district before. I worked very hard to stabilize the situation. Isn't there any reward? I am going to nominate you as the deputy leader of the Mengui gang. With your strength and the contribution you have made in Baikan district this time, it is more than enough to take the position of deputy leader. Talking about business, sister-in-law Ghost also returned to her previous calm state. Is this a reward? Why is this not a reward? Ghost's sister-in-law was startled and frowned. You must know that this position of deputy gang leader is coveted by many people. According to normal circumstances, you are only a candidate now, but I am sure that you isn't this favor enough to sit in this position. Shen Jian lowered his head. Sister-in-law, don't pretend to be confused. You know I'm not talking about such insignificant things. Looking at Shen Jian's handsome face and his serious eyes, the ghost's sister-in-law Lu Rong lowered her head slightly and muttered, Brother Stinky, can I introduce others to you? I really can't betray your eldest brother. What happened last night, I just thought it was because you were so full of blood that you couldn't control yourself all of a sudden. Shen Jian's eyes moved. Ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong. Current status, confused, conflicted, guilty, self-blame. Favorability, 66, ambiguous. After thinking about it, Shen Jian didn't insist anymore. But he still said, Sister-in-law, you owe me a reward. Said. Shen Jian didn't pause and asked about Samsung's flesh-eating ghosts. Hear this. Lu Rong, the ghost's sister-in-law, immediately calmed down the confusion on her face and said with some annoyance, I don't want to auction it off either, but the supernatural auction house is threatened. I have no choice but to choose the best way, which is to auction it off. In this way, you can still get a large amount of horror coins, otherwise you will lose it in vain. Shen Jian frowned. Dare to threaten the supernatural auction house, which shows that the people behind it are not afraid of the fierce ghost gang. And the entire ghost town has such strength. Is it the Wangui cult? Shen Jian asked. Yes, although it is just a threat from the deputy gang leader, you don't have to think about it to know that there must be the instruction of the top Ghost King behind it. The current fierce Ghost Gang cannot follow them until the gang leader has promoted to the unsolvable Ghost King. Conflict. Shen Jian nodded. That way I understand. On the back of his hand, Ghost Eyes suddenly revived and shouted, Master, if he dares to steal your things, he must be punished. After they buy the things, we can follow them quietly, shoot them secretly, and steal their things. Shen Jian glanced at him. Am I the kind of person who does evil things? Guiyan, in your eyes, your master, am I the kind of person who secretly beats the sap? Ghost Eye. Master, why do you have such doubts? You seem to be a little unclear about your position. Of course, he didn't dare to say this. He could only say dully, but master, if you don't rob it, the price of this thing will go through the sky. Shen Jian's eyes were strange and he said, Ghost Eyes, why do you think someone dares to hawk something I value? Ghost Eye. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 318. Not long after. The supernatural auction has officially begun. There were more than 200 ghosts sitting in the scattered venue. Excluding the players who mixed in, the number of red-clad ghosts was more than 150. Shen Jian was sitting in box number 1 prepared by MRS Ghost. With a serious expression, he stared at the group of ghosts below, thinking about how to hit the sap. After all, if you capture them all here, you can still stand up to a dozen Ghost Kings at least. This performance made it difficult for him to look away. Thinking. The auction below has officially begun. Lights converge on the auction table. Uncle Chen is a very popular human auctioneer at the Supernatural Auction House, and he is also hosting this grand auction. The auction items in this auction will be priced at a starting price of 1,000 thriller coins each. You can indicate according to the number plate in your hand. Next, let's move on to our first piece. The number 1 ingredient for 10 people. The starting price is 100,000 thriller coins. The auctioneer lifted up the white cloth, revealing a piece of meat from a flesh-eating ghost. Groups of flesh-seeing ghosts that looked like fleshy Ganodermalucidum were displayed in front of everyone. Shen Jian looked at it expressionlessly. It's the edible ghost meal of a horror world. The only function is to increase yin qi. The price of a 1-star flesh-watching ghost is 10,000 horror coins. If you eat them all, you may gain anywhere from 2,000 yin energy. It only takes 2 copies to become a Tsingyi level ghost. However, the higher the horror level of the ghost, the worse the effect of eating it. The first time you can add 2,000 yin qi, the second time you may only have 1,000 left, the third time 500, the fourth time 100, but in the end it has no effect. Twice is the best eating range. Shen Jian was not very interested in this. However, to his surprise, the owner of this auction turned out to be a player with the ID of Scholar. I won the first lot for 120,000 yuan. Time flies. The second lot, the third lot, the 13th lot. What comes next is the penultimate auction item at the finale of our supernatural auction, a complete 3-star flesh-seeing ghost. On the stage, Uncle Chen lifted up the white cloth with a fiery look on his face. It was a squirming fleshy Ganodermalucidum that looked like jelly. Just when it was placed on the table, bursts of alluring fragrance hit your nostrils. This is a flavor that has a fatal attraction to ghosts. It is the supernatural power of seeing flesh ghosts. It emits fragrance and attracts evil spirits. Uncle Chen stood at the front, separated by a transparent glass, drooling wildly, and the evil ghost in his body was even more restless, conveying a devouring emotion. The effect was so terrifying that he even wanted to revive the ghost in Uncle Chen's body so that he could monopolize the flesh-seeing ghost in front of him. Uncle Chen was horrified. Stay away from here immediately. But the sound kept coming. A complete 3-star flesh-seeing ghost can create the birth of a ghost king. The auction price is 3 million horror coins. As soon as these words came out, the ghosts were in an uproar. Countless ghosts stood up immediately, staring greedily. But when they heard the starting price of 3 million, everyone became dejected. 3 million horror coins may not be difficult to earn for ghosts above the Ghost King level, but for Redcoat level ghosts, this is undoubtedly a sky-high price. You can't even make it up even if you lose all your money. What's more, this is just the starting price. Not to mention 3 million, even 5 million is not the bottom line. Amidst the commotion, Shen Jian looked at his balance. Thriller coin, 6,200,000. This is the result of allocating 30% of the funds that can be mobilized from the Villa of the Past, Bloody Moon High School, Huangquan Ward, and the Bloody Paper Making Shop. A full 6 million thriller coins. Among them, the Bloody Paper Shop alone contributed more than 3 million. Think about it. Shen Jian opened his mouth and said, "I will offer 3 million, and I hope you will give me some face." As soon as these words came out, the place was quiet. Everyone looked at box number 1 with doubtful eyes. Ghosts? You didn't even show your face, so you want us to give you some face? It's noisy. I'll give you a face and treat you as the top Ghost King. The ghosts all twitched their mouths. Just as he was about to bid, another voice rang out, "I'm offering 3.1 million. I am the deputy leader of the 10,000 Ghosts cult. I hope you will give me some face." The voice was sinister and cold, and the terrifying supernatural power of an abyss-level ghost swept over the entire place. All the ghosts are frightened. The abyss level has basically stood at the top echelon of the ghost town. What's more, the other party is also the deputy leader of the 10,000 Ghost sect, and behind him stands the number 1 fierce ghost organization in the ghost town. Not to be offended. As soon as these words came out, even the thoughtful Li Gui didn't dare to compete anymore. The scene was extremely quiet. Uncle Chen secretly glanced at box 1. He could tell that a big boss was sitting in box 1, but an abyss-level ghost might not be able to help the big boss. Although they are both ghost kings, abyss-level ghosts are not in the same range as ordinary ghost kings. Although the boss is the number 1 person in the supernatural circle, his strength is basically at the level of a ghost king. It may be close to the abyss level, but it is still too reluctant to face the real abyss level ghost. The rest of the players have very different ideas. The abyss level ghost is so terrifying. It was so scary that even Shen Jian, the number 1 person in the supernatural circle, had no chance of winning. The fierce ghosts in the auction house also showed joking expressions. I want to know whether the person in box 1 will settle the matter or continue to increase the price at the risk of offending the Wangui cult. But generally there is no hope for Shen Jian. I think this person is just talking big words. If you really encounter hard problems, you can only bow your head. The deputy leader of Wangui cult who spoke out also raised his head, revealing a skinny body, so thin that it seemed like only a skeleton was left, but the terrifying aura on his body was extremely permeable. Under the supernatural pressure, not a single ghost dared to look at him. Especially the fierce ghosts sitting next to them all turned pale and started to tremble. I feel like crying inside. Why are you, a perfectly good abyss-level ghost king, coming to the place where we, the red-clothed level ghosts, are sitting instead of going to the VIP table? It's too doggy. Use people like us to show off your majesty, right? See it? There was a hint of contempt on the skeleton ghost's face. Then he looked towards box number 1. In the entire ghost city, there are only a handful of abyss-level ghosts. There is absolutely no character like Shen Jian among them. Give face? You think too highly of yourself. At the same time, in the box, the 6 ghost eyes revived, and there was a burst of anger in the scarlet eyeballs. Master, Look, if someone dares to raise the price in front of you, he won't give you face. You must arrange for him to secretly ambush him on his only way to kill ghosts and seize treasures. Shen Jian grinned. No one can stop me from wanting this face, said. Shen Jian took out a piece of colored paper from his body. The colored paper revived, revealing a paper man with a hollow face and no facial features. Then the shadow ghost revived, got into the shadow of the paper man, and controlled the body. Think about it. Shen Jian spliced the ghost arm together again. A paper man who controlled the right arm of a ghost and god appeared in front of Shen Jian. The red light burst out, and the paper man walked out of the auction house. Slowly came to the skeleton ghost. Just staring at him. Skeleton ghost? He frowned. Who are you? Snapped. Shen Jian used the shadow trick to control the paper man who controlled the ghost's right arm. He raised his pale ghost hand and slapped it with a big dick. At the same time, he did not forget to say, "You son of a bitch, you dare to use your father's and my money, I can't beat you to death," said. Shen Jian smacked his mouth again. Ghosts. Damn it. Real or fake? The abyss-level ghost was beaten? And he's also the father of the other party? Skeleton ghost? He was also stunned after being slapped twice. His father? His father is long dead. This wild dad came out of nowhere. He reacted suddenly. Wrong. The important thing now is that he was beaten. Think of this. The skeleton ghost's face immediately became ferocious. Counterattack immediately. Snapped. Another crisp loud bang sounded. This time, he was slapped directly to the ground. Ah! A scream sounded. The skeleton ghost immediately became horrified. His eyes were fixed on that distinctive ghost arm. To be able to hurt an abyss-level ghost, this ghost arm must be at least the invincible level. No, this horse-riding arm is the arm of a ghost. He was dumbfounded. Who the hell is hitting him with a ghost arm? Who is it? Thinking. The paper man controlled by Shen Jian spoke again, "If you dare to resist your father and I will not beat you to death." Shen Jian waved his ghost hands and continued to beat him in full view of the public. The onlookers were immediately stunned. Everyone was stunned. This is really a father beating his son. Otherwise, why didn't the deputy leader of Wangui cult fight back? That's enough. Is this how your auction house treats its guests? Doesn't it mean that the competition process is fair and just? Mr. Box 1, do you dare to say that this was not driven by you? The skeleton ghost curled up and roared. Fortunately, it was an incompletely revived ghost arm, otherwise he would have been killed on the spot. Shen Jian chuckled and said, "What are you talking about? Isn't this your father beating you?" Skeleton ghost. People from the auction house, is this what is fair for you? Uncle Chen. He stood on the stage, somewhat helpless. Damn it. If you dare to beat up the deputy leader of Wangui cult, do we dare to stop him? He thought so. Several patrolling ghosts suddenly appeared in the direction of the supernatural auction house, and they dragged the paper figures away forcefully. Before leaving, the paper man was still cursing, "I will definitely come back, your father." The skeleton ghost stood up. His eyes were malicious. But he very wisely did not mention what happened just now, but chose to get the 3-star meat ghost first. This was requested by the gang leader himself. If he couldn't take it back, his end would be miserable. Then the skeleton ghost shouted, "Is there anyone else who bids? If no one bids, I'll announce it's over. I offer 3.11 million thriller coins." Shen Jian spoke calmly. Skeleton ghost. The fist is hard. Hard. I want to beat the person in box 1 to death for making such a noise. But he still suppressed his anger very well, and then said, "I will offer 3.2 million. Pudgy." The door to the auction house was violently pushed open. An old man with colored paper walked in. The rotten facial features said angrily, "Quoi was it, your grandfather? I told you to go home and get beaten." Skeleton ghost. What the hell? It's endless, right? Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 319. At the auction. All the evil ghost's eyes were focused on the old man with colored paper who broke into the door. His facial features are hollow and his face is decayed, giving him the appearance of an old man who is about to wither. And more importantly, it is the right arm of this paper man. Pale, black and blue. Exuding terrifying supernatural fluctuations. Skeleton ghost. He was dumbfounded. No. If you want to disguise next time, can you remove the most important features first? You are not only insulting my IQ, but also insulting everyone present. This is completely rubbing their IQ to the ground. He was furious. He stared at the old man with colored paper who called himself Grandpa with vicious eyes, and was about to take action. Next moment. There were 6 holes on the paper man's decayed, hollow features at the same time, and 2 rows of 3 pairs of scarlet eyes opened, revealing an indifferent expression. As soon as the red light burst, the old man with colored paper teleported to the skeleton ghost and slapped him. "You melon boy, why are you in a daze again? This problem has been incurable since childhood, and you need convulsions to return to normal." After fanning, the old man with colorful paper stretched out his hand and waved it in front of the skeleton ghost, and said again, "I heard that you are going to use my coffin book to squander it? Are you sick again? Stupid kid." Skeleton ghost. Who do you think you call a fool? He finally figured out that the man in box number 1 was determined to win the 3-star prize. As long as he dared to snatch it, this situation would happen again. The supernatural auction house seemed fair and impartial, but in fact it was on the side of the owner of box number 1. The reason is to prevent him from getting 3 stars as a flesh ghost. Want to resolve this situation? First, kill the paper man in front of you. Second, don't fight. Think of this. The skeleton ghost counted the time silently, and the viciousness in his eyes disappeared. In fact, the gang leader had already expected this situation. The moment the supernatural auction house chose to auction the 3-star flesh ghost, the Wangui cult thought that it would not be easy to succeed. Even if the supernatural auction house did not dare to operate in secret, the price of the item would definitely skyrocket. Although the current situation is different from what you imagined, the result is the same. He couldn't get the lot. In this case, another plan can be implemented. Think of this. The skeleton ghost subconsciously took a step back, indicating that he was giving up the competition. However, snapped. There was another crisp loud bang. Skeleton ghost? He looked at the old man with colored paper in front of him in disbelief. "I've given up, why are you beating me? Don't bully ghosts too much." The skeleton ghost roared inwardly. This person is at the abyss level at most. Even if he has a ghost arm, before he is completely revived, the threat of this ghost hand is only at the abyss level. Once support arrives, it is not difficult to suppress and imprison this ghost arm. Then he gave in again. He said coldly, "Your Excellency, I give up. I will not participate in the competition with this 3-star meat ghost." The old man with colored paper finished listening. He said with some pity in his tone, "Silly boy, what are you talking about? Hand over your grandfather and my coffin book quickly, or I will drag you back." Skeleton ghost. What? Goddamn coffin book, just say it when it comes to robbery. His eyes almost widened. I have never seen such a shameless ghost. In broad daylight, under the clear sky, he was robbed in public. He felt insulted. Hesitating. Shen Jian then controlled the confetti old man and slapped him with his big mouth. I have to say that the body controlled in this way is very interesting. Especially the spliced right arm of the ghost is very easy to use. He has a serious suppression relationship with the abyss-level ghosts. Otherwise, he would really be unable to do anything to the skeleton ghost with just a paper man. Being beaten. The skeleton ghost tremblingly raised the deposit in his hand. Shen Jian took it and took a look. 4 million thriller coins. He frowned. He said with a somewhat displeased tone, only 4 million? How dare you say that you are bound to win 4 million? You are so poor. Shen Jian took the deposit from the skeleton ghost with great disgust. Skeleton ghost. He gritted his teeth. If it weren't for Shen Jian, the troublemaker, 4 million would have been more than enough. There is even a lot left. So he retorted unconvinced, who dares not to give face to the Wangui sect when it participates in the auction? Shen Jian was startled. Nodding, what you said makes sense. Snapped. After saying that, Shen Jian slapped him again. The skeleton ghost covered his red and swollen face with a look of confusion. Didn't what I said make sense? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. It makes sense, isn't it? I don't have any morals yet. You are awesome. The skeleton ghost looked at the confetti old man's right arm and endured it. No matter how useless the puzzle pieces of ghosts and gods are, their supernatural strength is still higher than that of an abyss-level ghost like him. Otherwise, how could he be suppressed to death? After getting the deposit, Shen Jian left with satisfaction. It only takes a moment. He earned a net income of 4 million. Coupled with the 6 million he originally mobilized, his thriller coins have exceeded the 10 million mark. If word of this spreads, the supernatural world will be shaken. Subsequently, seeing that the auctioneer hadn't dropped the hammer for a long time, Shen Jian reminded, no one wants to bid anymore, let's drop the hammer. Uncle Chen. Group of ghosts. Damn it. Whoever dares to bid under this wave of your operations is a true warrior. This face of yours is really humming hardcore. It doesn't matter if I don't give it. Soon. 3 hammers fell. The auctioneer's high-pitched voice sounded in the auction room. Congratulations to the guest in box number 1 for taking the 3-star meat ghost. The auction is over. Go backstage to collect the auction items. Next, we are auctioning the penultimate lot. The auction is still in full swing. The door of Shen Jian's box number 1 was pushed open. Ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong walked in. He looked at Shen Jian with dead eyes. Brother, if you make such a fuss today, the reputation of our supernatural auction house will be ruined. Shen Jian looked over. His eyes lit up. Lu Rong, the ghost's sister-in-law, was wearing a silk-textured French white shirt on her upper body, which immediately highlighted the competence of an urban workplace beauty. Below is a black Hepburn skirt. The waistline of the skirt is particularly high, which further highlights the height advantage of the sister-in-law who is only 1 head shorter than him. The skirt covered about half of her thighs. The angle of this cover is very appropriate. If the skirt were shorter, it would look a little frivolous. But if it were longer, it would look too dull. The 2 pale legs exposed are just the right amount of modification. See Shen Jian staring. Ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong said angrily, smelly brother, are you listening? Sister-in-law, I just forgot to mention that you are very charming today. Shen Jian praised. Hear this. The originally resentful ghost sister-in-law was stunned for a moment, and then the corners of her eyes turned red unconsciously, and her inner complaints unconsciously weakened a bit. But he quickly returned to his serious demeanor. Be serious, you don't act like a little brother now. You don't stand up or greet your sister-in-law when she comes. You still need me to come to the door in person. You, a little brother, can do better than your elder brother, it's too much. She said angrily. Although the deputy leader of the 10,000 Ghosts sect came to the position because of the relationship with the top Ghost King, he is still the deputy leader of the 10,000 Ghosts section. What you do today will probably be targeted by the leader of the 10,000 Ghosts sect. That is the recognized strongest Ghost King in the Ghost Town. He is a powerful ghost with no solution. More importantly, I heard that he is about to be promoted to a ghost. His supernatural powers are unfathomable. Speaking of this, she couldn't help but show some fear and worry. A top Ghost King who is about to be promoted to Ghost and God, this is the sword of Damocles that hangs over all the ghost organizations in the Ghost City. Once he gets angry, even her boyfriend, the leader of the fierce ghost gang, can only temporarily avoid the edge and obey him. She had heard her boyfriend say it. The gap between the abyss-level ghosts and the unsolvable-level ghosts is as big as the gap between the white-clothed level ghosts and the Ghost King. Even the abyss-level ghosts who are infinitely close to the top Ghost King cannot sustain themselves for a while facing the top Ghost King, the leader of the 10,000 Ghosts sect. The psychic intensity is too different. Shen Jian glanced outside the box. Grinning, but the other party has already called at the door. Sister-in-law, do you choose to ignore it? What? Ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong's expression changed. He came to the box window and looked down. The moment the auction ended, more than 30 ghosts rushed in outside the auction venue. The leading ghost had many wounds stitched on its body, and the wounds were constantly emitting wisps of black gas. Supernatural pressure Gaia's entire audience. The terrifying yin qi belonging to the abyss-level ghosts is spreading. Along the road he walked, waves of thick black fog rose. All the ghosts caught up by the thick black fog stagnated in place at that moment. His face gradually began to lose its facial features. Turn into a faceless ghost. The Night Ghost King, he actually took action. The ghost sister-in-law's face immediately turned pale. Is he famous? A touch of extreme excitement gradually appeared in Shen Jian's eyes. Infinitely close to the unsolvable level ghost, this is the highest level of terrifying ghost he has ever seen, except for the wool body of Manchuo Ghost and God. Even the paper-threaded Ghost King is inferior in terms of horror level. Who wouldn't know him? He is the head of the war department of the 10,000 Ghosts section. He is an abyss-level ghost that is infinitely close to the top Ghost King. His supernatural power is not inferior to your elder brother. After your eldest brother was promoted to the abyss-level ghost, he once challenged this a Ghost King of the night. The final result is no distinction between superior and inferior. It was only then that he made a name for himself and became the leader of the famous Mengui gang. The ghost sister-in-law is full of treasures. Every time he said a word, his expression became more serious. Until the end, his face became uncertain. The 10,000 Ghosts sect had plans to rob it from the beginning, otherwise how could they have brought out the Night Ghost King? And it's not as simple as trying to rob the 3-star flesh-seeing ghost. They wanted to loot this place, or even, completely destroy it. Think of this. The ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong has a frighteningly pale face. Because the current supernatural auction house cannot stop the invasion of 2 abyss-level ghosts at all, even if the fierce ghost gang is added, it can't resist it. What to do? First timing. She looked at Shen Jian. Seeing Shen Jian staring down, a somewhat excited grin appeared on his face unconsciously. That look was familiar to her. In the past, when the fierce ghost gang was seizing territory, many fierce ghosts would show such expressions as if they had seen their prey. Ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong was slightly startled. He asked tentatively, "Smelly brother, can you suppress the unrest below?" Hear this. Shen Jian turned around and nodded slowly under the expectant eyes of his sister-in-law. Although I can help, sister-in-law, your trust in me is a bit low. Ghost sister-in-law. She was surprised at first, and then became entangled. She naturally knew what Shen Jian meant by trust. But once the hole in this relationship is torn, it can never be restored to its original state, let alone going back. She had no intention of cheating on her boyfriend. She was distraught. But he soon became firm. My good brother, I lost to you. My sister-in-law will never cheat this time. Are you satisfied? Keep your word. Shen Jian said. The figure disappeared instantly. If the ghost sister-in-law hadn't happened to be there, he would have rushed down and captured all these evil ghosts. Anyway, the movement is so chaotic right now that I can't tell who is the enemy and who is the ally, so I might as well arrest them all. If he catches them all, no one will be able to accuse him of arresting innocent people. Think of this. Shen Jian's smile became even weirder. This is definitely a great harvest. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 320. There was chaos in the auction house. The members led by the Night Ghost King rushed all the way from the main entrance into the auction hall, and supernatural beings spread wherever they passed. The group of ghosts melted away, wailing everywhere, and turned into a faceless ghost. And the other side. In this chaos, the skeleton ghost immediately stepped onto the auction stage, throwing out a piece of soft shrouded human skin, rolling up countless lots. Among them is the 3-star meat ghost photographed by Shen Jian. On stage, Uncle Chen stepped back while holding the microphone, with a horrified look on his face. These are things from the supernatural auction house, and there are also lots taken by the owner of box number 1. If you take them away like this, you will regret it later. He did not expect that the deputy leader of the 10,000 Ghost sect would be so bold that he would openly lead his gang members to attack the supernatural auction house and steal all the items. If it was just like this, he felt that the owner of the auction house would bear the loss alone, but among the lot snatched away by the skeleton ghost, there was also Shen Jian, the 3-star meat ghost of the big boss. Based on his understanding of this big boss, he will never give up. This group of people will be in bad luck later. The skeleton ghost opened the corners of his ferocious and twisted mouth and mocked, he, so what if I robbed your things? This so-called supernatural auction house, the so-called fierce ghost gang, or the owner of box number 1, look, does anyone dare to stop me? The words just fell. The surrounding scene glowed red. Shen Jian suddenly appeared on the auction stage. There was a strange smile on his face. Gg, I just seemed to hear you mention me. Say it again, what do I dare not do? Hearing this familiar voice, the skeleton ghost's face froze. This voice was the owner of box number 1. He immediately became alert. Although he boasts a lot about his awesomeness, in fact, he is still very afraid of the owner of box number 1. After all, the opponent has a ghost arm in his hand. Although he has never controlled it, it is enough to suppress an abyss-level arm in his hand. Fierce ghost. If the Night Ghost King hadn't come to support him, he really wouldn't have dared to launch an attack. But now, a mere Shen Jian is nothing to be afraid of. Just as the skeleton ghost was thinking this, Shen Jian had already taken out the morning stick. As soon as the red light burst out, he swung it up and hit the opponent on the head. But it seems he is not relieved. The next second, Shen Jian suddenly stretched out a hand, grabbed the skeleton ghost, and pushed him to the ground. Looking at the skeleton ghost who has not yet reacted, Shen Jian smiled sinisterly, I haven't decided yet whether to rob the things here, so you'd better rob my things first. Thief son, you are quite good at playing. Skeleton ghost heard this speech. He was slightly startled. God, you haven't decided whether to grab it or not. Even if we don't come to grab it, you will plan to grab it later. They are all here to rob, who is nobler than whom? The two sides looked at each other. I thought it was a sign of sympathy between the robbers, but unexpectedly, Shen Jian raised the morning stick in his hand again and beat him down. Ah! The skeleton ghost let out a scream. It's better to hit people like this. I beat you like that before. Although the ghost hand can hurt you, it won't affect your actions at all. There was a hint of satisfaction on Shen Jian's face. Skeleton ghost. Damn it, admit it. You finally admitted that you just hit me. While screaming, he looked at Shen Jian with hateful eyes. You'd better let me go. You should have seen it just now. Our 10,000 ghost sect has brought many good people to break into this place. We will arrive here soon. You can't escape. Let me go and offer sacrifices to ghosts and gods. Join my 10,000 ghost cult, so that you can still have a life left. Shen Jian's beating movements paused. There seemed to be hesitation. See this. The skeleton ghost was overjoyed and continued to strike while the iron was hot. With your strength, as long as you present the supernatural puzzle pieces of ghosts and gods, you will definitely be able to rise rapidly in our Wangui section. Even if you take my position as the deputy leader, it is only a matter of time. You're right. Let's do this. I'll let you run 99 meters first. If you can escape, I won't arrest you. Shen Jian stopped what he was doing and suggested. Hear this. The skeleton ghost became even more excited. Because this means that Shen Jian has given up. What's the difference between letting him run 99 meters first and letting him go directly? It's just a step up. After all, they are all abyss-level ghosts, and they also need face. He was sure that even if he didn't run 99 meters, Shen Jian would not chase him again. Then he stood up. Without hesitation, he turned around and ran. Where Shen Jian couldn't see it, the malice in his eyes had already overflowed. Too young. Still too young. How could he let go of this man who beat him 3 times? Shen Jian will not die here, his skeleton ghost's name is written upside down. Thinking. He has run 99 meters. Looking back subconsciously, Shen Jian was not chasing after him. He just raised his palm and spread his fingers. Then he muttered softly. Lefatai. The words fell. A purple plasma thunder column shot out. It penetrated the skeleton ghost's chest in an instant. Skeleton ghost. He lowered his head stiffly and looked at his body. Completely confused. Damn it. It turns out that this is what I was asked to run 99 meters first. You are a real dog. The skeleton ghost was filled with grief and anger. Let him run 99 meters first, and then use an instant attack of 100 meters in 1 second to make him desperate. He has never seen a ghost more evil than this man in his life. Thump. The skeleton ghost slowly fell down. Nothing supernatural. On the side, Uncle Chen looked at the scene in front of him stupidly. Fa. I am super. Brother, your style of painting is wrong. In a world where horror games invade, weird resurgences, and mysterious arrivals, you directly use the thunder method that can only exist in the extraordinary world. Are you sure this is reasonable? And even if it is really the so-called ghost's supernatural ability, if it can be used instantly to kill an abyss-level ghost and cause it to freeze immediately, the supernatural strength cannot match it? What kind of supernatural being can instantly kill the Ghost King? That's outrageous. He just felt that his worldview was about to collapse. When he overestimated Shen Jian's strength again and again, Shen Jian was always able to refresh his cognitive abilities again and again. From letting the Ghost King call him daddy in public, to instantly killing an abyss-level ghost, there seems to be no end in sight to Shen Jian's strength. This is ridiculous. Thriller games have only been invading for a few years, how could anyone reach this point? This is no longer as simple as opening a stage with the supernatural circle. You can't even see the tail gas lights at all. They stood behind them, but they couldn't even catch up with Shen Jian's back. This gap is so huge that it is despairing. Naturally, I don't know what Uncle Chen is thinking at this time. At this moment, Shen Jian had fallen into an inexplicable excitement. After packing the skeleton ghost, he left without hesitation. The other side. The 40-odd players trapped in the auction hall have shrunk into a corner. Some players kept smoking dry cigarettes, spitting out a large amount of smoke, forming a thick white smoke, constantly resisting the spread of black smoke. It's useless, it's useless. This dry smoke is just a supernatural prop. It cannot resist the supernatural powers of an abyss-level ghost. It is only a matter of time before it is invaded. It's over. Based on my experience, the killing pattern of the black fog should be active. As long as you move half a step in the black fog, the killing pattern will be triggered, and the entire face will be melted and turned into a faceless man. It's not that simple. If only the 5 senses were lost, then the ghosts in the black fog would not be stagnant one by one. There must be some unknown supernatural effect. Damn it, is this the first crisis we have encountered in the ghost town? This horror game basically wants us to die. There is no chance of survival at all. Under threat of death. Countless players felt a little broken inside. The largest ghost organization in the ghost town attacked an auction house and sent out 2 abyss-level ghosts. 4 players, this is simply a dimensionality-reducing blow. Even if they are not on a frontal battlefield, with their level of terror, the aftermath of a supernatural collision anywhere is enough to kill them. In this case, survival depends entirely on luck. It turns out there are rats hiding here. At this time, a sinister laughter sounded. A ghost with scars all over its body and hollow eyes, with a will-o'-the-wisp burning in the hollow, walked over. He chuckled in a hoarse voice, like a hunter teasing his prey. Seeing the prey, the 2 will-o'-the-wisps in his empty eye sockets became more and more intense. However, just the next moment, the players who were originally ashen-faced suddenly became quiet, and the panic on their faces turned into weird ones. Undead Ghost King? He was a little confused. Aren't you afraid? He was a Ghost King level ghost from the 10,000 Ghost sect, and most of the ghosts in front of him who were making fire together were at the King II level. He couldn't understand why such ghosts, who were at the bottom of the food chain, weren't afraid of him. Hear this. The players hiding in the corner looked at him with even weirder and incomprehensible expressions. The scholar looked behind the undead Ghost King, hesitated, and asked, "Aren't you afraid?" "Undead Ghost King? What the hell is your problem?" "I am a Ghost King. I'm afraid of eggs." "Shouldn't it be you who should be afraid?" He was just wondering. Is there a big hand like a cattail leaf fan already? He put his arm on the shoulder of the undead Ghost King and said faintly, "Brother, aren't you scared?" "Undead Ghost King? Damn it!" He was startled. Almost jumped up. Someone came behind him, and he didn't even notice it. What a ghost! He turned his head abruptly. The first thing he saw was not the figure on his shoulders, but the horrifying scene behind the figure. All I saw was a scene of billowing smoke. A fierce ghost with a familiar face was lifted out of thin air by a blood-stained ghost rope and dragged in mid-air. Below, an old man with colored paper was spreading out a sack and stuffing the corpses of ghosts into it. Among them, there are many ghosts like him who have the Ghost King level. Even above, he saw his captain, a Ghost King who was infinitely close to the abyss level, being hoisted out of thin air and then thrown into a sack. There is no dignity at all. Undead Ghost King. He was completely confused. What's the situation? At this time, the figure who put his hand on his shoulder spoke again, "Do you have any last words?" Hear this. The Ghost King of the Undead made Lingling shudder. Only then could he see clearly that the end of the bloody hemp rope was tied to the man's wrist. He looked up blankly and saw Shen Jian's strangely smiling face. He was very familiar with that look of a hunter looking at his prey. Because that's how he looked at the player just now. There was silence for a second. He turned to escape back into the mist. Shen Jian picked up the morning stick and smashed it hard. Ah! A shrill wail echoed. Ah, brother, don't fight, I was wrong, wrong. The Ghost King of the Undead gave in completely. I feel like crying inside. Even the captain was dead, and he actually didn't have much hope in his heart, but he was a Ghost King anyway, how could he surrender directly? This is so embarrassing. But if he surrenders after being oppressed by strong power, he can still retain a little face. After all, he didn't really want to surrender, but he had no choice. Seeing that Shen Jian's stick had not stopped, the Undead Ghost King shouted again, "Brother, the only ones here who can ignore the Black Fog Terrain Army and the Night Ghost King. Only you let me go. I promise not to tell your whereabouts, and you also, if you can hide here and spend your time safely, I guarantee that you won't meet a single ghost." The Undead Ghost King put forward his own conditions. Shen Jian? Can't find one? Are you going to go against me? If I don't meet a ghost, I'll do it to you later. Shen Jian stared at the Undead Ghost King with dangerous eyes. The morning stick was raised again, threatening, "Take back what you just said." Players? Undead Ghost King? No. Are you still not satisfied? You must know that if I am discovered doing this, I will be dismembered and there will never be any hope of supernatural recovery. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly became a little stagnant. The Undead Ghost King was about to cry without tears and said, "Brother, this is really the limit of what I can do. The order of the Wangui cult is to turn this place into a dead land, and then capture the owner here to frighten the ghost city. I letting you go is too risky." Shen Jian was slightly startled. Suddenly an idea came to me. You just said you could prevent others from discovering the abnormality here. The Undead Ghost King nodded. "Yes, brother, as you can see, my supernatural power allows me to ignore these environmental effects, and people who hold my will-o'-the-wisp fire can also receive my communications." He pointed to his eye sockets with strong will-o'-the-wisps and explained. "My main task is to find the evil ghost hiding here and report the coordinates to others. As long as I say that I have searched here, others will not come here to search again. In other words, as long as you say that the owner of the auction house is here, the Night Ghost King and others will all gather here." Shen Jian raised his eyebrows, and his gaze towards the Undead Ghost King became softer and more enthusiastic. "Undead Ghost King. Theoretically, that's the case. Hear this." The smile on Shen Jian's face became even brighter. He patted the Undead Ghost King on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Very good, please report the coordinates. Report the coordinates here to everyone." Undead Ghost King. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the King of Hell of the 10th Palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 321. Listening to the words of the terrifying evil ghost in front of him, the Undead Ghost King suddenly raised his head and met Shen Jian's face with soft eyes but full of excitement. He was stunned. Thinking that this man was probably testing him. Test him to see if he has the intention to tell the truth. Very scary. A weakling like him even played this trick. My heart is so dirty. The Undead Ghost King shuddered violently and felt a chill coming from his back. The ghost's life was almost lost. "Brother, I will never tip off anyone. You have to believe me," the Ghost King of the Undead assured with grief and anger. Snapped. Shen Jian raised the morning stick and smashed it on the other person's head. He smiled kindly and said, "You misunderstood me. What I like most is making friends, especially heroes above the Ghost King level. I need you to introduce them to me. Remember, you can stay here, even if you are below the Ghost King level. When I make friends, I never look at the other person's strength, only based on eye-catching. Undead Ghost King. Before you say this, could you put away this dangerous stick? I am a little scared. He looked at Shenji unshudderingly and said hesitantly, Brother, are you really not joking? The Undead Ghost King suspected that there was something wrong with his heirs. He has clearly told this person that the purpose of the Wangui cult is to destroy this place, including killing all the ghosts in the supernatural auction house. Does he recommend him now because he thinks his life is too long? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows and said, Do you think I'm joking? As he spoke, he had already raised the morning stick. The nature of the threat is already clear. The Undead Ghost King suddenly trembled all over and said with a smile, No. Brother, I will just do as you are told. Players. They were stunned. This was the first time they had truly seen the whole process of Shen Jian dealing with the Ghost King. There is a sense of déjà vu of gangsters oppressing good people. They looked at the Undead Ghost King who was licking a ghost face and laughing, not daring to resist at all, and they couldn't hold back any longer. You are the Ghost King. Are you so cowardly? Hear this. Shen Jian nodded with satisfaction. Let's get started. The Undead Ghost King did not hesitate, and the green will-o'-the-wisps in his eyes immediately changed and turned into red. This is an early warning. It means that the target person appears in his location. After seeing the will-o'-the-wisp change color, those evil ghosts who carry their own subfire will look for it according to the location. But this does not include the Night Ghost King. The head of the War Department is only responsible for controlling the scene, dealing with unexpected crises, and cleaning up the supernatural auction house. He doesn't even bother to do it. So he didn't carry his Ziwo supernatural power with him. But he can create one for the Night Ghost King out of thin air. This way the other party will know the situation. Then capture this evil spirit who knows nothing about the sky or the earth. Think of this. The Undead Ghost King also laughed heartily. This young man is still too young. He actually wanted to give him a chance to make a comeback. Then don't blame him for being rude. Not long after, dozens of figures came out of the black mist. The terror level of each one is above that of the top red ones. The Ghost King class occupies 1/3. The figure leading the figure suturing the scars was the second master of the 10,000 Ghost sect, a Night Ghost King who was infinitely close to being an unsolvable level ghost. 10 top red clothed ones, 3 Ghost Kings, and 1 Abyss level Ghost King. If you add those sacked by Shen Jian before, then the lineup of Wangui cult to attack the supernatural auction house is too terrifying. With this lineup, I am afraid that even if the leader of the Mengui gang comes, he will have to leave an arm before he can leave. All the players' eyes widened. Everyone's body was frozen. Chilling in my heart. This damn place is really not for humans. This is the first time they have criticized horror games and put them into a copy where there is no way to survive. With the arrival of the Night Ghost King, the other members of the Wangui cult also gathered over. What's going on? Have you found that woman? I don't know. This will-o'-the-wisp suddenly changed color. Green means no situation, red means early warning, which means there is a problem in the current area. The Undead Ghost King has done a great job this time. He actually caught that woman. This is a sharp weapon used to threaten the leader of the Meng Ghost gang. Several doubtful voices sounded. Until they walked out of the black mist and saw the Undead Ghost King who was being stepped on, sneering, with red will-o'-the-wisps shining in his eyes. Group of ghosts. They were stunned. Is this being suppressed? It's noisy. Where did this thing come from? There is a Ghost King sitting in the supernatural auction house. The reason why no one dares to provoke him is simply because the fierce Ghost Gang is standing behind him. And the Ghost King who was sitting there had already been captured by them. The rest are just some auction house guests. Among them, there is absolutely no existence that can easily suppress the Undead Ghost King. And where's the deputy gang leader? Why hasn't the deputy leader solved this yet? Suspicion flashed across all the ghosts' faces. Logically speaking, an abyss-level ghost should have wiped out the innocent people here. Let go of the undead Ghost King. You are looking for death. Let him go quickly, otherwise you won't be able to bear the anger of the Wangwi section. Several top red-clad ghosts stood up. Roared. Shen Jian's face showed excitement and he raised his hand. Tai Xiao. A white electric arc shot out quickly and hit a top-notch red-clothed ghost with its mouth open. There was a loud bang, accompanied by several screams that stopped abruptly. A ghost exploded. Dismembered bodies were scattered on the ground. On the charred remains, there were white electric arcs visible to the naked eye swimming like small snakes, leaving a terrifying energy aftermath. And it's not just this one that suffers. Affected by the white arc, there were also two other top red-clad ghosts who stood out. One was so close that half of its body was blown away. The chest of the other one was also scorched black, and black smoke was constantly spitting out of its mouth. Ah! In the auction hall. This moment was eerily quiet. Only one top-notch red-coated man with half of his body still left was wailing. All the members of the Wangwi sect present had their eyes widened. The mouth is also open almost enough to fit an egg into it. All looked horrified. What special effect are you doing? You are also a fierce ghost, how come your painting style has become so majestic and majestic? You should be cheating on your horse. At this moment, Shen Jian had a strange smile on his face, and white arcs of lightning flashed across his palms. The whole body is like an electric snake wrapped around it. The heart beats powerfully, making a thunderous sound, and the whole person is like a god descending into a ghost town. Welcome to the death arena. The rule here is, the one standing at the end is the winner. Ghosts. As soon as these words came out, all the ghosts felt their hearts pounding. Damn it! Really? Is the role really reversed? Their purpose here is to turn the supernatural auction house into a slaughterhouse. And this person wants to use his own power to turn this supernatural auction house on the verge of collapse into a death arena? Only the winner can leave. The first reaction of all the members of the Wangwi cult was horror. Especially Shen Jian's current appearance is too terrifying. It's simply not the same species as them. Extremely scary. At this time, the Night Ghost King stood up. A hoarse and deep voice sounded slowly. Don't be deceived. This is probably just a visual deception in the ghost realm. I once encountered a ghost king. All his yin qi was used to shape his body. It created the supernatural threat of a top ghost king and scared many people. Humans, but in actual combat, any ghost king can kill him. Do you think, besides the gang leader, there is a second top ghost king in this ghost city? Hear this. The ghosts reacted immediately. Yes. Shen Jian's power was terrifying, even more terrifying than the gang leader, the top ghost king. However, there was only one gang leader of the 10,000 ghost sect in the ghost city. How could another one appear out of thin air? It makes no sense either emotionally or rationally. The truth is, as the Night Ghost King said, it is just a kind of terrifying momentum, and it is nothing more than a paper tiger. Think of this. All members of the Wangwi sect stared at Shen Jian with terrifying eyes. Moment. There are gusty winds, turbulent yin qi, and full of evil spirits. They made a vicious and ferocious voice. Death arena, right? Today we will let you know what death is and what cruelty is. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows and warned, I advise you not to be impulsive. This way you can live a few more minutes. Hee hee. The ghosts laughed ferociously. The three ghost kings strode towards Shen Jian. Today, let me expose this of yours. A ghost king came to Shen Jian first and let out a sharp roar. However, the words have not yet finished. A white arc of electricity had penetrated his chest. Flying back faster than when he came. Smashed into the ground. Nothing magical. Ghosts. Damn it. Didn't you say it was fake? This looks so realistic that it couldn't be more realistic. All the evil ghosts looked at the Night Ghost King. Night Ghost King. On the surface, he seemed calm and maintained his expert demeanor, but in fact, he was panicking inside. Because at that moment he also discovered that this was actually true. The man in the distance with the electric snake entwined and the electric arc running at full speed really has a more terrifying aura than the top Ghost King. Moreover, this kind of breath is different from the darkness and darkness of the supernatural. Instead, it appears majestic, strong and yang. It's like the divine power is within you, overwhelming the world. This kind of unique supernatural fluctuation may only be possessed by legendary ghosts and gods. Think of this. The Night Ghost King was even more panicked. One hand behind his back was shaking, and the other hand hurriedly stretched out and held the trembling hand. Next moment, the sound of footsteps was heard. Shen Jian's left hand flashed with white arcs, and his right hand was surrounded by purple thunder, with a spring-like smile on his face. Come on, brothers, let's discuss a philosophical question in depth. How many of you can withstand my attacks? If you can withstand 3 shots, you will get a special reward. Ghosts. Damn it! What a philosophical question. After being shot 3 times, you have no intention of leaving him alive. Mom, help.